switch over. There we go. All right, welcome to, episode 17 of this live stream. I've moved the live stream from a Monday to a Sunday to allow people to watch, and hopefully more people will be available on Sunday. So welcome if you're new here, and welcome to those that have joined me before in previous episodes or live streams. So today I thought we could review a couple of things with regards to face-to-face teaching and how things are going in terms of face-to-face teaching, where we're at, and also any questions that you have, you can put in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's get started and let's see where we're at. We have Michael here. Michael, nice to see you. Let's see. Hopefully I can get this up. There we go. Hopefully it will pop up in a moment. There we are, Michael. So Michael, welcome. Thank you for joining. Victor's here as well, regular. So thank you for joining today's live stream. If you do have any questions, if you do want to ask me anything with regards to online teaching, face-to-face teaching, the CELTA course, or anything related to that, then please feel free to comment below, and I'll be happy to answer and see where we go. And one thing to look for towards the end of today's live stream is our regular weekly poem, which I've started incorporating into our live streams as well, which seems quite popular. Oops, a daisy, wrong button. There we go. Right, so we have quite a few people here, so thank you. Now, where do we begin? Well, let's have a look online to see what's happening in the world of blogging, and let's have a look at one website that I usually look at, and let me see. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll share my website. Bear with me whilst I find out where we're at. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. So here I look at a variety of different websites related to blogging and English language teaching, or teaching and blogging. Let's see if there's a post here which kind of piques my interest. I'll be quite happy to look at one. Oh yes, Don't Look Up. A Netflix series I was watching a few weeks ago. It's actually quite comical. It's got quite a few big stars like Leonardo DiCaprio, Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett, etc. Right. Well, I did write one post about how to complete IELTS Task 1 and bar charts. So this seemed quite a regular one, and I did a variety for students, those students that I'm teaching currently with regards to IELTS and preparing, particularly for Task 1, because a lot of students seem to have difficulty and lack the planning in terms of Task 1 IELTS. Students spend quite a bit of their time, the majority of their time, on Part 2, but what they fail to do is to allocate enough time to prepare for Part 1 before the exam. So here I gave a breakdown of a few things with regards to the overall structure of IELTS Part 1, and I've got a video here to supplement what I was referring to. So this one, let me just get the link for those that are curious. And there we are. Okay, right. Let's see if there's any questions coming up in our chat. No questions just yet. Now, one blog post that I tend to refer to is ELT planning. So if I go back to sharing my website here, you can see ELT planning, wonderful blog website. It's actually really good. So today's website is ELT planning, and so here you can see recent posts. One thing that I like about Peter is he actually writes quite regularly, and that sort of thing, and I found it rather interesting to follow how he's developing, because I used to work with him at a language school before he done his dip TEFL, and whilst he was doing his dip TEFL, Trinity dip TEFL, and he moved on to working with the British Council, done an MA, I think. Not sure if he's done a Delta now, but I'm not too sure about that. And another thing is he's gone into teaching at an international school, I think it is, or a private school in Bangkok, and so he's doing incredibly well. So I'm pretty chuffed for him. Anyway, a couple of things here that he refers to, and recent post is this one about material writing, news and views. So for those that are curious about getting into materials writing, I would highly recommend that you contact Peter. Excuse me, I have to try and make myself comfortable. Follow Pete for all the sort of things that he's involved in, and as you can see, he's been involved with writing a book about IELTS reading practice, 30 role plays for TEFL. So all these are wonderful resources, quite practical for teachers and students. So definitely rather good. Okay, right. Who else do we have? We have Victor here. Victor says, "Don't Look Up" is particularly tragic in Brazil. Why is that? I'm not entirely sure why Don't Look Up is tragic in Brazil. Was it not well received, or was the translation, the subtitling, not so great? I'm not entirely sure, but if you could let me know, that would be great. Why such a movie was not so successful in Brazil. Be quite interesting to hear your views. Right, so anything else in the sphere of Twitter? Let's see. Well, not so many people here today, considering it's my first Sunday live stream, and I rely upon quite a few comments. I suppose what I could do is I could share my experience of returning to the classroom. So earlier last week, I returned to the classroom, my first time teaching face-to-face for almost 2 years now. It was around March 2020 when everyone on campus had to return back home and start teaching online to students. And it was quite interesting about how I found returning to the classroom. Obviously slightly nervous, not too sure about how things would go, and not being in a classroom for such a long time, I found it quite overwhelming. So last week I returned to the classroom. I was teaching, and I had a couple of students in the classroom, everybody wearing face mask. And quite interestingly, I was in the classroom and I was looking at one student that I asked a question at, and I was hearing someone speak. Thought it was them, because everybody's got their face covering on. It turned out to be someone else. So I found that quite funny. Students cracked up. They found it quite interesting. And yeah, I never really realised that the fact that you've got a face covering on, a mask, and the students have, it makes it even more difficult to know who is talking, and you really have to try and focus or get the students to speak up a little bit. And, I'm standing quite far away from the student, like 3 meters, 4 meters away, and I'm asking the students a question. I have to speak up because they can't hear me if I use my normal voice. And then I have to ask the student to repeat again or speak louder. So that was quite interesting. And then earlier this week, second time going on campus teaching face-to-face. And I found it a little bit more comfortable. But the majority of my classes were online anyway. But I'm hoping things return to normal and hoping that I can go and teach more regularly face to face. Another thing that I've started doing for the past 3 weeks, actually, something that I've not really mentioned apart from on Twitter, if you're following me on Twitter, is that I've started working as a supply teacher going into schools. So I really missed that social contact and that rapport, that sort of morale that you have with other teachers around you. So I decided, right, I'll sign up for a supply agency, and I'll be parachuted into different state schools. That will give me the experience of teaching in a state school, and also it will give me that sort of feeling like, yeah, I'm doing something good and I'm connecting with other people and that sort of thing. So for the last 3 weeks, I went into a special educational needs school, and these students have quite, they have severe educational requirements. So they have like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or they're on the autistic spectrum. They have dyslexia or dyspraxia. Some students can't communicate effectively. They feel overwhelmed with another person in front of them. They can't speak up. They have difficulties communicating. And I found it quite interesting working as a sort of teaching assistant, helping out in the classroom and being used in the classroom to deliver certain content to the students. And it was quite admirable by all those teachers that are working in special educational needs. They have, it's not something that I could do 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, every day. I only had 3 weeks of it, but by the end of the third week, I was like, right, I need my break. I need to decompress from this, because it's not easy working with students that have educational needs, or have certain requirements to help them educationally. However, the kids were an absolute joy to teach, and I really enjoyed teaching the students. Helping them with their reading, helping them with their maths and science and cooking and all sorts of things. And the school done so well to try and accommodate all these students, because I think back about my experience in a state school, and there was nothing like this, where everybody was put together regardless of whether they needed extra support or not, and not everyone got that extra support, talking back about 30 years ago or so. But anyway, I found it quite educational for me, having to deal with students with certain issues or certain things which are not so common, and having to deal with students that could do the unexpected at a moment's notice. I found it really, really interesting. And again, to reiterate, I found the teachers working there, the staff working in this particular school, what they were doing was admirable. And there were so many teachers within a classroom. You had like one teacher per 3 students or something like that, just to keep everything going and to help the students, and that was fantastic. Right, now let's have a look. So I did ask Victor about why Don't Look Up, the movie, is not so well received in Brazil. And he says our government is against science, basically. Anyway. Ask a quick question. He says, in your opinion, which proficiency exam has the best cost? I'm not entirely sure what you mean in terms of the best cost. Another message here from Victor. I'm thinking of applying to an exchange program at my university. I have to prove my level of English, but they're all very expensive and are valid for a very short time. I suppose if you're going to be doing an exchange program from your university to another university, I would recommend the IELTS exam. You could do the Cambridge proficiency exam, the CPE, but both exams, unfortunately, are quite expensive. They're not cheap, but you would get recognition from an accredited and an established examination body, and so those 2 exams are accepted, I suppose. However, saying that, I have seen some international students from abroad coming into the UK, going to universities using the Duolingo examination. Apparently Duolingo has their own exam, so I'm not entirely too sure about that, but some students have used this exam to prove the level that they're at. However, it's not really as highly regarded as maybe an international exam such as CPE or IELTS, which is more established, more suitable, because where do students take the Duolingo exam? Do they do it in their home? What stops them from cheating, essentially? What stops them from getting someone else to sit the exam for them? Whereas with the with the IELTS or the CPE, I think that one, those are accredited. They know those that are taking the exam are the people that are taking the exam. There's certain checks to ensure that the exam itself is regarded and recognised by international institutions such as universities, so IELTS or CPE. However, maybe have a look at Duolingo to see what sort of things are on offer there. So I was thinking taking this one. Right, okay, so I suppose Duolingo you're referring to, Victor, is the one that they record your camera. It's $50, so a bit cheaper. But as I've said, certain students have used Duolingo exam to prove the level that they're at, and if there is a certain check, that they're recording and monitoring how students or candidates are doing in the exam, then and universities are accepting it, because I know certain universities do accept the Duolingo exam, then why not do it? Because it's a good exam, I guess. Right, what else do we have here? What else? Any other questions? Let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to check. But so I was talking earlier on about my experience in a SEN school, special educational needs school, things that I was involved with. I found it really interesting. I found it quite useful in a sense. And certain things that I came across, and to be a SEN teacher or, a teaching assistant within a special educational needs school, you have to be absolutely patient with all the kids. It doesn't suit everyone going into that school, and you have to have a genuine interest and care about particular students, regardless of the challenges that they have, or the issues that they have, the disabilities that they have. Kids were coming up to me. They'll be really curious because it's a new face. There were some students that were not so forthcoming, it broke up their routine, which I completely understand. Anything out of a routine, which is normal for them, and have a new face in their classroom, they find it quite, whoa, okay. And I completely understand. I found it really interesting. And the sort of things that the teachers were using to encourage and get the students focused, I found that really good. And at the end of the week, at the end of the Friday, what was really interesting was each classroom, they nominated student or students of the week in their class. And there was a sort of like, okay, well, this week, this class, it's this student. And everyone's like, yay, very good, well done. And in this class, it's that student. And I thought, well, actually, recognizing and recognition in, for student input and student contributions is vital. It's particularly vital for language teaching and language learning. So students need that constant support and encouragement, particularly when they're learning a new language. And, it kind of reinforced the sort of things that I was doing within language education that seemed to fit well in a certain environment. However, it got me thinking about, what would happen if I had a student who had educational needs and they're wanting to learn English? What sort of things would be, supported? And say, for example, if a student has difficulty maintaining focus and attention, they would need a lot of different tasks during the day, and to keep their attention going and to keep them focused. There were certain things that I could see that teachers were doing in the classroom which I could start to apply, particularly for young learners, when I go back to teaching young learners, if I do. It's one thing that I really, really enjoyed when I was a teacher before going and tutoring at a university, was actually tutoring, teaching kids. And I still do have a few private students which are 14, 15 years of age, and the sort of, you can see more progress with children than you can do with adults, where they've reached a certain level, and it would take a far longer period for an adult student at a certain level to achieve the next level. It would take so much longer. So I found teaching kids much more rewarding, instantly rewarding, I would say, possibly, and also the sort of feedback that you get from kids are honest feedback. So, if they say, "Oh, I'm bored, why do I have to do this?" You go, well, they give you the feedback. They're not happy with the task. But the struggle is, how do you convert that lack of interest into interest at the end of the day? And that's where games engage language learners. It was an interesting experience in this special educational needs school that I was in, and I've already been asked, the first day I had the agency phone me up and saying, "How was it? Did you enjoy it? How did you find it? Would you like to go back there again?" So obviously the agency are aware that it doesn't fit everyone. If you're teaching students that have these issues, then certain teachers will run a mile, they'll run away, whereas certain teachers who have that genuine intrinsic interest in students regardless of their background, or regardless of their disability or that sort of thing, then it would suit them more. And you don't know until you've tried it. So that's essentially where the agency was. And I got some great feedback from the agency, and they've already booked me after this week's after this coming week, because this coming week is half term, students are off for a week, and I've been asked to go into another school, special educational needs school, locally. Anyway, quick pop-up chat here again from Victor. So any questions, please feel free to ask your question below. I'll be happy to answer your question. Come on, get your questions coming, because there's not been many questions so far. So Victor says, "I'm a history teacher intern at a public school in the interior state of Sao Paulo. I feel the same about rewarding and the honesty." Yeah, there we are. So as long as you're honest and you're interested and you feel that reward teaching students, particularly younger students, then that would be great. Anyway, where are we next? I want some more questions. Come on, post your questions, because I can't talk here all day. I need your questions to help me, to help this live stream go. We're only halfway through. It's like a lesson. You're teaching a lesson and the students are not really contributing, not communicating, and there's very little you're getting out of the students. It's the same in a live stream. If you're not really coming and contributing, come on, I need you to contribute so this can be a bit more engaging and more educational, rather than students sitting in the classroom expecting to be taught at, and you're throwing language at them hoping it will stick somewhere, but anyway, please let me know. I'm going to close my question here. Another quick one from Victor. Victor's contributing really well. Come on, people, you need to contribute. I'm going to close my curtain. Bear with me, and I want to see a question up. Okay, Victor, he says, it's very easy it's very easy to know if things are going well. Getting feedback from adults, it's always complicated. They tend to be more polite but less honest. Absolutely. I've found that adults, they don't want to, harm your interest or that sort of thing. So they're very diplomatic, I would say. They don't want to be too honest, like Victor says, and they don't want to be, they don't want to put you down. And you have to try and get the students to, the adult students, to provide suitable feedback. And I've always, I remember, certain issues that I've had with adult students is that when you're teaching adult students and you think, oh, good, yeah, feedback's great. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue comes like, oh, don't like this teacher, it's boring, lessons aren't engaging, blah, 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 blah. And I found that quite surprising, especially when I was first teaching or, early on in my career as an English language teacher. So, yeah, adults can be a bit more diplomatic. However, some students can be more direct, just like anyone else. We've got Mary here, and she says, I teach elementary students. Are they kids or adults, Mary? Do you teach kids or adults? Let me know. And what do you enjoy about teaching elementary students? Personally, for me, what I enjoy about teaching elementary students is you can see that improvement in their language quite well, quite immediately. And so they go from beginner elementary to, okay, they've already acquired certain language in such a short time. However, when you get an intermediate student or an upper intermediate student that you're teaching and you want them to improve to get to the next level, it's going to take far longer than it is for a beginner elementary student to go up. And so there's going to be a sort of glass ceiling or a certain point in time where the students will feel that they're not really progressing so much to the next level, and it will take more to get there than it did from when they first started in their language learning journey. Right, any questions? Let me know in the comments. Come on, get your questions going. It'd be really interesting to know what is happening. And, share your experience like you're doing, Mary and Victor. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have and also respond to any comments that you post. So that would be great. So let's crack on, shall we? Right. So I've already spoken about my first time going back into a classroom, face-to-face classroom at my university. I found that really enjoyable. I've already spoken about working outside of my commitments at the university for a teaching agency, being deployed into special educational needs schools. And yeah, what else can I talk about? Right, I'm going to be scratching my head, but I'm hoping that comments will come up, and I'm hoping questions will come up, and I'll be happy to see what you have to offer. Anyway, any news coming up? Not really. I suppose. Any comments? Don't see any comments. No. No questions. Oh. Well, what's it? There was a certain website that all these English teachers, or not English teachers, but there was a certain website that was being used by a lot of these students, teachers in the state school, and they ended up using Twinkle. Bear with me. Let's remove that and let's report it. Okay. Okie dokie. Right. I've got another question here, which is great. So Moses is here. Thank you for joining, Moses. Really nice to see you here. Moses says, I teach English language to teenagers in Nigeria, but I feel I'd be more comfortable teaching adult learners. Do you think getting an MA in TESOL or applied linguistics is the best step to take? Yeah. When I got to a point in my language teaching, I got to a point where I wanted to get to the next level in my teaching career, I suppose, or professional development. I'd done my CELTA in Seoul, South Korea. I came back to the UK. I I think I've spoken about this before. And so having taught in a monolingual environment such as South Korea for 3 years, having learned how Korean students would be in the classroom learning English, once I returned to the UK, I was teaching nationalities that I'd never taught before. I was teaching students that were from all these different countries, and rather than a monolingual classroom, I found it that I was teaching multinationals in one classroom. I found that really interesting. And I thought, well, I'm back at square one again. I'm right at the beginning of my career in English language teaching in the UK. I've not taught in the UK before. I'd only taught in South Korea before. And what can I do to improve my awareness? What can I do to improve my knowledge of English teaching? And the answer to that was doing an MA in TEFL. Well, I did my MA in English language teaching, and that led into more opportunities. I was able to teach and become more senior, I suppose, as a teacher. I became a coordinator for a private language school. I created the curriculum for for young learners, not adults, but young learners. I was involved with that area of language teaching, which is why I love children. I went off to the British Council for 9 months in Romania, done my Trinity, Trinity Young Learner Extension Certificate, and came back to the UK, taught for, I guess, 4 or 5 years for a private language school, and then I got involved in academic English, tutoring students, helping the students improve their academic skills at a university. And I would not be in the position now had I not done an MA, and all these opportunities wouldn't have opened up had I not done the MA course. So here I am, and I would always recommend all language teachers that want to get to the next step in their career by doing an MA or a diploma like the Delta or Trinity Dip TESOL. But definitely MA is the way to go, and this will open up more opportunities than not doing a particular course or developing professionally, if that kind of makes sense. So I hope that helps, Moses. Anyway, interesting comment and question below. Please post your questions. Come on, keep them going. I'm gonna keep going. We've got 20 minutes remaining. If I don't have your questions, we're not going to be having fun here. So, and don't forget, if you do like this live stream, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a video or when a live stream is on. Anyway, questions. Post your questions in the chat. Come on, I need more questions here. Otherwise, I'm going to get bored. Anyway, right. So, particular resource that was used for teachers in state school was Twinkle. And let's see, I've already got my account with Twinkle, and this one is really good for teachers who want good activities. You can download them, print them off, and and prepare them. So for the teachers that I was working with, they were using Valentine cards. They were making Valentine cards with the students, and the students were doing Valentine Day cards. They were doing the Winter Olympics as well, so you got like the topic and the event calendar. Really useful website. So have a look at this. Bear with me. I'll share the link as well. So Twinkl is quite a good website. Twinkl, spelt oddly. Anyhow, I like the resources that they used, and you can become a free member, but there's also membership as well. So if you go on to membership, you got ultimate membership, and you can download everything that you want, and it's $8.49 a month. You got this one, which is extra, includes certain things, but doesn't include same-day maths interventions, etc., etc. Here, you got $4.49 a month, and it's just the core stuff rather than everything. Really interesting website. Definitely recommend it, and well worth checking out if possible, because it's really good for young learners. And if you're involved with CLIL, Content Language Integrated Learning, so you're teaching topics to students in an international school or that sort of thing, then CLIL or Twinkl will help you prepare for lessons on topics rather than the traditional English language teaching that you're going to be using. So really interesting, really well recommended, and you've got here an ESL tab. So you've got Lunar New Year, Valentine's Day, you've got interactive games, phonics, 5-minute games, flashcards. Let's have a look at the flashcards. Let's see. Ooh, okay, so you've got a variety of different flashcards that could be referred to. You've got a variety of different topics here, but definitely just check out the key material for your lessons, because that would be really useful, particularly for CLIL and that sort of thing. Anyhow, and as you can see in here, you can see that I've got adverbs of frequency, and it's limited to a membership and paid membership per month. The only thing that I would refer to with regards to this is that the material's best suited for face-to-face teaching rather than online teaching. But I suppose you could adapt material for online teaching by using Jamboard, for example, or that sort of thing, and adding in the material into a Jamboard for students for online tutoring. Anyway, any questions? Come on, keep them going. I'm struggling now. I don't know what questions that you may have, but it would be really interesting to know if you've got any questions with regards to English teaching, professional development, the CELTA, the Delta, an MA, anything about language teaching, or any questions not about language teaching. I'll be happy to answer, depending that they're suitable questions, of course. Finally, let me get my poem. I'm going to be reading a poem at the end of this live stream, and I'm going to go back to my books here on my piano, and I'm going to choose a poem from the book. And when I come back, I hope to get a question. So post your questions in the chat. Come on. Anyway, one moment. Right, I've got my book. I've got my regular book, and this one is, not sure if you can see that, John Keats, the major works, and a variety of letters and poems. And I thought, because tomorrow is Valentine's Day, I've not really thought about it. I haven't really spoken about Valentine's Day. I thought I would choose a poem related to Valentine's Day. But bear with me. It's quite a long one here. But we'll see. In terms of Valentine's Day, though, what sort of things have you been teaching your students? Adults, not sure whether they can write a poem, or if it's young learners, you've got a variety of different projects that the young learners could do. Preparing Valentine cards, preparing... one thing that the students did this week when I was in the special educational needs school was the fact that these students prepared, what was it? It was like peppermint cakes or that sort of thing. And the cakes were quite easy to make, actually. I'd never made peppermint cakes or whatever they're called. Bear with me, I need to Google this because they were really good. Peppermint creams, that's it. So the peppermint creams were really simple to make, quite simple. Kids love getting involved with this, and all you need, and let me just share the website, to make peppermint creams for Valentine's, all you needed was icing sugar, a sift, so you sieve the icing sugar, or and you need peppermint extract, condensed milk, a bit of water, and plain chocolate for melting, and then starting to drip the chocolate on the peppermint mix. And I really enjoyed this. I found it really good to get the students cooking, not cooking, but preparing, baking peppermint creams. And it's something that you could do for young learners for Valentine's Day, and get them to make the peppermint creams to give to their parents to say thank you and that sort of thing. Right, I've got another question here, so thank you, Moses. What do you say about doing CELTA instead of Cambridge TKT? So the TKT is the Teacher Knowledge Test. Essentially, the TKT is for teachers who have had a break from teaching, I guess, and come back into language teaching, but need some sort of reminder about what they're doing or how they do things. Whereas the CELTA is a 4-week intensive course. I don't know too much about the Cambridge TKT, so let me just Google. And here we are, and I'll share the website. So here you can see that the TKT is a modular teaching qualification. Tests your knowledge in specific areas of English language teaching. It will help build your confidence and is a cost-effective way to get an internationally recognised qualification, whether you're a new teacher or have years' experience. The TKT is ideal for people who need to prove their teaching knowledge with a globally recognised certificate. New, experienced teachers. I suppose the TKT is a test. It's a test. You got the test here, the different modules, and specialist modules, and you got CLIL and young learners. CLIL, content, language, integrated learning, which I've mentioned already. I suppose it's an online test nowadays. So the TKT is a test, Moses, whereas the CELTA is a course. So, as I mentioned, I don't know too much about the TKT, but I do know about the CELTA because that's what I've done. And in terms of the TKT, it's widely recognised as a qualification, internationally recognised. It just proves that you have some knowledge and awareness of English language teaching, whereas the CELTA is an internationally recognised qualification, and it's recognised as a level 6 qualification, I guess, or level 7. Anyway, it's recognised as which could help in terms of working for international organisations. So if you had International House and they had a candidate, an applicant with the CELTA and an applicant with the TKT, they would choose the person with the CELTA because it's a 4-week intensive course, whereas the TKT is a test. And it's like, you're comparing two different things. So definitely do the CELTA, Moses, if that's what you're thinking of doing. So I hope that helps. Right. Any final questions? Because we're almost near the end, and I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. Really appreciate all the sort of questions, particularly from Victor. Victor was the contributed the most with various things going on, but everybody else contributed as well, and I really appreciate everybody contributing, commenting, and helping this live stream continue. But don't forget, next week 12 p.m. It'll be an hour before Eric's live stream, which is on from 1 p.m. I believe. But anyhow, I'm going to be reading a poem in a few moments, so if there's any final questions that you want to ask, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, I'm going to go and dive into my book and read a poem. Hopefully I can find one related to Valentine's Day, because tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and actually between you and I've bought my wife a gift. We still do that sort of thing, I guess, but yeah, I bought my wife a gift. I can't say too loudly because she'll hear. I've tried to keep it as quiet as possible because I want to surprise her when it comes down to Valentine's Day tomorrow. I'm going to try and grab the person who's delivering it to our door, grab it before my wife can see it, otherwise it will ruin the surprise. So I'm trying to surprise her, and she's getting really frustrated because she thinks that I've not bought her anything. So I'm quite keen to surprise her tomorrow, and that sort of. But what sort of things should you get for your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner for Valentine's? What sort of things would you recommend? Anyway, I can't find a poem here in such a thick book about Valentine's Day, so I'm going to use good old Google to help me find a suitable poem, and I can share the poem with you whilst we read it together. Okay. Right, just doing a quick search. There's quite a few short poems, but I want to find something a little bit more substantial. Yeah. Okay. Nope, can't see anything just yet. No, that's not Delivery Man yet. I have to see. Right, where are we? Valentine's Day poem. Let's see. No. No. Okay. Some of these are quite cheesy. You put in Valentine's Day poems and up come short, sweet poems which are quite cheesy. And yeah. Anyway, I've maybe found one. Well, we got William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Nah. I've already looked at these. Too traditional. Okay, I found one. And I'm going to put it in Google Drive. I'll make a quick document. There we go. There we are. Okie dokie. Right, I'm almost there, so bear with me. Okay. And this one is How Do I Love Thee? Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Quite a nice poem. So let me just share my poem. And let's get started. I can share the website as well, so let's see how we do. So, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. For the ends of being an ideal grace, I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need by sun and candle light. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion to put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose. With my lost saints, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after depth. I like that. That's a lovely poem. I had to go down a little bit so you could see the entirety of the poem. So really interesting. I like that poem. I really do. Anyway, bear with me. And if you're curious, I'm going to share this link so you can access it and let's see, the viewer, copy the link, put it in, and let's go back to our main source. So there we are. I guess I could start to document all the poems that I've used in my live streams from now on, in terms of where we are and what I've read out loud, and you have access to it. So I think what I'll do is I'll start to combine all the poems that I've started using in the live streams from episode 17 onwards, and you can read them in your own time and enjoy them. But that's it from me today. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody. I really appreciate all the questions that everyone had. Also contributing in the chat, just being here. Really appreciate that. Also, thank you. And I hope to see you next week on a Sunday at 12 p.m. UK time. And take care, stay safe, and happy teaching. Yeah, bye-bye. See you soon.